I can't remember. Were we convinced or we were conned by our OC then to just sign the paper?
Convinced or confused, whichever.
Wow. I enlisted in March 1998.
Wow.
That's 23 years.
I think I enlisted. Actually, I cannot remember, but definitely not as old as him. Yeah. So ROVER stands for Reservist on Voluntary Extended Reserve Scheme.
Long story short, right? That means you finish your reservist liability already and you extend it. Why do people do it? Mainly those who don't understand, they'll probably say we are siao on.
The ROVER works after your 10 years in liability. So, but maybe by the 7th or 8th year, they will start to sound you out to see whether you have that interest to continue and to take on higher appointments. So if they do, they will start to stand you for progression courses based on what you are going to be appointed to do. And then after that, on your 10th year, then they will give you that document to sign. But at the time, you still can back out if you want to. Although it's not very nice lah.
Yeah, actually we call that document the blank check. Because actually when we were first identified for ROVER, we were just told, can you just sign to indicate your interest in ROVER? But there was no date on it. Then we were, I can't remember, were we convinced or we were conned by our OC then to just sign the paper?
Convinced or confused, whichever. We recently just signed another empty form. That one maybe at 3 years, another 3 years. So that will bring us to, at the end of the second form will be 8 years.
I honestly stopped counting after the second form. That's, I think, one of the misconceptions that a lot of people have. Well, I do agree that officers have more opportunities for the ROVER scheme, but we are also seeing like war specs who take on higher appointments, like for example the RSM or other appointments within maybe the brigade. I self-arrange my stuff, but I do face issues when sometimes I'm on in-camp training and I need to ask my colleagues to help me cover. So the usual response I get is, hey, how old are you already? Why are you still doing reservist?
Actually, that's the response that a lot of people ask me. How come you're still in the army? Are you regular? You sign on? Or how come you differ or you went overseas for studies? For me, my work is more routine. I'll try not to schedule any of the audits during of course, my call-up during my 2 weeks. Sometimes when I go back home, I still have to check my emails and clear my stuff. But other than that, I think I managed the work quite okay.
This is a bit sensitive. My wife was initially quite upset with my reservist schedule because unfortunately during my ATEC 2 year, right, it was during her birthday where I was receiving orders for the mission, so I kind of missed that and she was quite upset with me for the longest time. But since then, right, she has come to understand that this is what I enjoy doing and she's also very supportive. And she also has this thing about liking me being overseas for reservists because she has the whole bit to herself.
For me, my wife is definitely very supportive. She used to work in DSTAR, so she understands the full nature of the defense capabilities and what we do as NSmen and our contributions to the nation. So she supports me all the way, and she actually asked me to sign the second form without hesitation. And if there's a third form, she did tell me that if I don't sign, I don't need to go back already.
If you are going to have to do it anyway, just enjoy the whole experience. And if it's something you like and there's the possibility that you might want to consider rovering, you can sound out your superiors early so that they can make plans for you.
I think there's a misconception that you think that there's a lot of responsibility, a lot of stress that as a rover you need to bear with. But I think it's quite flexible. When you sign a rover form, I think there's a certain understanding that you are volunteering for a reason. So in terms of your requirements for commitment, I think the bosses are also quite understanding that we need to juggle our day job, or for like Chuan's case, you need to go for viewing. So in some cases, they allow us to actually take some time off during the ICT to actually go and do our own things. Having served through NSF as a NSman and then now as a rover, you really see that the army has progressed in terms of their learning attitudes. It's no longer use the rank to take you and say I'm a higher ranking than you, you do this, you follow me. But instead now there's a lot of asking you what is your thoughts to this plan, can you contribute, how can we make this plan better, how can we make the training better, how can we do things better. In terms of the learning, it's very positive for us.
I'll be upfront. Most of us, I think we're in the rover is really for the brotherhood, the camaraderie that we form over the times when we're in battalion. So that time when our OC was pitching the idea of rover to us, all of us were saying, well, if we're all together, then let's all do it together.